So the next movie review that I thought I'd go into and give a bit of an insight, having heard, looking forward watching the first Captain Marvel first series and really enjoying it, not knowing where the anticipation was gonna go onwards from build up of other serialization from what was released on Disney Plus. Having watched most of them and their combination of effort was a contribution of like running gag memes. And I hope a huge point of the stays and bad reviews aren't related directly to the work, but more in terms of like was the movie to expectation of the flow. I feel a lot of negativity is construed from the overburden of trying to force attractions on people on different people's comfort zone in their independent circumstances. This is done just on a large scale. It's not really something people with more reservation or families feel like they're going to go to watch a film so that they're so that they're so that they're so that their families feel that they need to be forced into seeing some particular racial ethnicities in a certain way. Uh, Generally, the movie does play a huge tone disparity, and I hope this was just an initial reaction because the movie has been out for a while. It stopped showing in the cinema theaters right now, currently, but it's I was don't know the full details if it at least made profit, which was overly what most people would be happy to say. I call it a movie success. Otherwise, it's a very bad experience. Considering that there was new faces involved, and particularly as I have taken a liking towards Brie Larson's work, I would say that it doesn't do justice of the potential of her skills. There was a lot of criticism placed, and I do feel they were justified from my perspective of watching it and taking in consideration how I was able to get into the story or not. The first point of what was going on is just like, what was it? There's a lot of jumping. There's a lot of jumping, and I guess you gotta see it in the tone that some of it was probably on a running gag theme on involvement, but that's fine. Right? We can all experience, we can all take appreciation. Someone that's enjoying an activity are going to make mistakes. So even if their effects doesn't come to bringing together factors outside a meme, but more in relation to making a movie that completely unattached brings in people is definite skills or build up of a whole large production. The point is like this was likely get better if I take understanding, and it's better to model it for that kind of behavior or for, in my opinion, uh, good work but controversial implication from my stance on things. So here's where I like to depict my thought process. Okay, so there's a lot I bring out to get people to see those maybe uncomfortable overtones in a lighter matter. Generally, a lot of action. I felt the opening scenes from the start of the movie were very driven on action scenes, and there wasn't enough story. Uh, there wasn't enough projection of character development at the start for me to really get the understanding of where Captain Marvel is from existing releasing content from Marvel serialization to gravitate the established relationship from where they are. We feel like we're missing a big picture here. Generally, people were saying comics were reference points from where this was, and yeah, I guess I don't take in consideration the comics too much, but like I didn't. It is true that the what do you call it is true that what's her name? She plays a huge role in her depiction in this movie, so she's worth really taking a highlight on this movie. In fact, yeah, Monica. Monica is actually in a very strong role in my feel for the movie, but like her established with Captain Marvel isn't covered anywhere right now in like aside from comics, but like nothing that I can think of what was released to establish that they have formed that. Some people just knew about it, and I was like, okay. And then so that's something I feel needed to be fleshed out. I would prefer that. The interpretation of like Miss Marvel incorporation was the relationship attachment with Captain Marvel. Um, some parts felt a bit cheesy. The character itself is cheesy if you watch her series. She's a bit geeky and all that. It's like, that girl that wants to be popular in high school and then sees that cool girl and just wants to be like her. That's generally what her personalization is. Captain Marvel is the cool girl. Iman is, developing that power. So like, the thing is, her power to change into something Miss Marvel is only shown as a cameo at the end. Sorry, this is why I take a insight saying this is funny. The elaboration of her powers aren't too great. The band is important in some ways, but I don't understand the emphasis of the band. From what I can recall of the Miss Marvel series, the band enabled, her developing power, giving that kind of Spider-Man feel, right? She's developing new powers and all that. But the appearance of a second band and its lore, where it takes its emphasis for the characterization of the villain, isn't explored. The villain isn't massively fleshed out in this movie, from where I can take it. She had some cool scenes. Ending fight was pretty badass. Fight scenes were probably a good portion of like what people were following, just like keeping stimulated watching the film at the start. Okay, so they were exploring the concept of jump point, and I feel that jump point was a good establishment of someone's powers. Personally, as well, I found it hard to follow because there was an issue with what you call Monica or Captain Rabo. Uh, Powers of being able to do. She said something to do with projection as well, light photometry. So the thing is, I just recall that she was appeared in WandaVision, and even then, her character wasn't fleshed out on developing these powers. So it feels like it came all of a sudden. That's why I think a lot of people made a depreciation of this movie, and I'm really sorry about that. It's just like if you've been following the series and been watching it, that something feels that like they were just pushed in there, and they say, "Go check the comics." So like, even if I wanted to say that there's enjoyable aspects and the work into place on it has for some of it has been good, the story is a bit messy. The story is really messy right now, and that's why it doesn't feel great to watch it. And then you think, well, if you get more insight of like who you think may be involved, you take the appreciate. Okay. Now continuing on, Captain Marvel was really cool in this movie near her end depiction at the end, where they're trying to fix the space rift part, which is kind of analogical to, I feel, what has been ongoing for too long. But where I take a stance is like she made a sacrifice, and it should be a pretty powerful scene, especially for Captain Marvel. I honestly did think that there was parts where Iman and also Captain Marvel kind of like got emotionally detached to their characters because of the circumstances of the running gag, and you gotta understand from the depiction from the first Captain Marvel to the second one, the tone is very different, right? But at the same time, it makes sense. It occurs after Endgames, and the introduction of Miss Marvel already brings in that kind of theme starting out. However, I felt the undertone could have been elaborating, seeing the maturity develop from Miss Marvel's projection to seeing her hero. It's just everything felt weird because like all of a sudden Miss Marvel is quite close to Samuel Jackson, and it did feel like a bit of a parody. I'm afraid, So people were saying, that the Brie Larson should have like owned the character more, because this is generally her depiction of the ongoing serialization. And to be fair, after the main villain is gone, which happened, it's not uncommon to see storylines where the serious tone of a character becomes more lighthearted, right? Uh, I feel this would be in their perspective following the movie ongoing. You see a more lighter tone of it. And there's an introduction of things that were just been very funny for me. Uh, uh, so I can't, I can summarize it, and if you knew a bit more about the actress as well, she has a lot of talents building up in the entertainment industry, and a sense of like she started as a singer, she can dance, and I felt like she was kind of seasoned into it. Props to the ongoing running gag themes. I found Samuel Jackson still put in quite a few lines there as well that were pretty funny. They're cheeky and like a healthy exchange. They're like totally broken characters from like the context of like the first film onwards. And like what did I take it? It's like I think he's playing a lot. But it's pretty cool. He's like all right. But like where was I taking this onwards? Um, hmm. Yeah, there was just unfortunately the movie. You guys have to see a bit more of a mixed mashup theme of parody and disparity to the novel sequence. And if you put it in terms of the timeline of where the movie stands, they without the big boss villain anymore there, it would make sense that it goes that direction. Like it's yeah, you could see Carol's more as a person as they kind of like uh, so yeah, the characterization of the hero it just kind of seems a bit more human like compared to her stance where she's definitely depicted as strong as a soldier, right? So where can we come onwards? Ending scene. I felt like that could be a good stern reaction, or I it could have gone both ways. She could have played out more emotions to that, or she could have like kept in lines of her thought process of as she was a soldier, incorporated in lines of the story. And I want to add on to making comments in relation to the introductions of kittens. So I think I just at some point the actress herself realizing how many parodies, how many little snippets were placed into. She just said, "Fuck yeah, the kitties are really cute too. I'll go for it." Oh, shit. I, I have to say, I did say like, despite some parts being there, if you're kind of aware of the gags, then you can kind of you can kind of like take the same stance that this is really funny. But at the same time, I do feel bad that the gross income of that film has, and I think it's more to do with forced implications here, that more than anything else. Uh, but I'm not too sure where the pacing of onwards Marvel films are going. The introduction of the next villain is a bit awkward at this point of how that kind of stands, and it can feel a bit wary, wary about how they're going to do this because how I understood things building up, Clang was going to be the next arch villain after Thanos. There's a lot of awkwardness, so I think that could be worked on. But I'll be very honest, they've done a really good job with Doctor Strange movie when there was an awkwardness in projection on their adverts. But I thought watching that movie it was quite smooth. They did a pretty good job, and it was great seeing trying to build up the excitement from watching that film, from watching the serialization of this WandaVision as well, not the Human Space Unit, and really fleshing out and understanding of her character when she comes out as the villain of that story, despite the fact that she was supposed to play on the nice side. It was She did a pretty good job. She was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. She made a great disparity understanding of a kind of like empathetic villain, which are powerful characters. I felt they're indeed powerful characters. Okay, I think I've kind of like summarized as much as I could uh, from what I can understand. And anyone check out the film. I hope you make the appreciation on hearing my perspective on things that you still find a lot of enjoyment watching the film. You know, and didn't take made the appreciation of the change and disparity of some of it. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, thank you for putting the effort to watch the effort I placed on making something of an entertaining video. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said before, it's not forced, but like I really would appreciate any contribution and support you give to this channel, as it gives me more motivation and more incentive to enjoy more video creating and content creation. If you find that the content drifts away at any point, you can always unsubscribe. It's no big deal. Again, it doesn't mean much. It doesn't take much from you, but it means a whole bunch of me, and it would feel great if you would just reward my efforts of trying to be positive and contributionary. Thank you so much. Bye.